First of all, hello. I am Mehmet Güldalı. I work as a game designer at Mangorama Studio. I am 21 years old and I am a student of Yıldız Technical University Mathematical Engineering. I live in Istanbul, Turkey. My childhood dream was to work in the game industry and make my own games. In the same way, I admire puzzles. I am the youngest person I know in my position. I hope to set an example for my friends. If anyone says you can't do it because of your age, please ignore them and keep playing. Let's start with the market analysis. So, I want to talk you a little bit about design. The golden rule of design is to play games. Anyone who doesn't play games can't be a designer. You have to interpret the market very well. By dominating the market, you should be aware of every game that comes out. There are thousands of brains in the world besides you. While some of them are game makers in their own right, some of them are world giant companies. You might wake up one morning with $1 million idea, or someone else could have woken up with $1 million idea and gamified it, but it didn't succeed. These are very important to us. Turn the market upside down. A very beautiful mechanic could have died with a failed team, and it could be buried deep down in there. Or a very good team may have been blended with a bad mechanic and failed. This is entirely up to your research skills. Studios test ideas they think are special on their account or another account. We will discuss what the test is and what metrics it contains in the future. They also test their creative videos, which they think are beautiful. If you go deep enough into the market, you can find out what the studio and publisher are trying out and be informed about the innovations early on. You can see the piece they missed and integrate it into your own game. Remember, everything in the universe is a mixture. You too must keep your inventory wide in order to catch the right mixture. The archive work will make a great contribution to you here. Keep all the good ideas you see in your bag, and there will be a day for that idea. And time for that idea is here. Everyone thinking of something. Like I said, the $1 million idea comes to mind when you are sitting on a bench or brushing your teeth or walking or another. But as long as this continues to be an idea in your mind, millions of dollars will flow into the pocket of the person taking action 1 minute before you. Life is cruel. So, go ahead and make your move. Well, this motivational speech might be very good, but where do we start? Of course, we will start by preparing documentation. Human is forgetful creature. That's why we need to document our ideas. The international name of this document is Game Design Document, or GDD for short term. And what is the GDD? GDD is a guide that you write down the finest detail of the $1 million idea you have in mind. This guide will be used by your teammates. For this reason, the document you write must be understandable if you are not a one-man team. If you are not a one-man team, you should know that not everyone will think like you. A small amount of thought left in the documentary can have huge consequences. Therefore, it is useful to be understandable and orderly. A good designer should know a little bit about everything. In a spine animation, you don't know how to make animations, but you must know what is the slots, what is the skins, or how they know in the basic way. Or you must know how to your level manager script works or what the game engine used by your developer team can do. It will be very easy for the team to put this information in the document. The top priority of a good designer should be always ensure the comfort of his team. In addition, knowing these details allows the designer to fly. Everybody wants to play nice. But knowing the limits yourself and your team will save you from disappointment. You should never go into a work that you can't finish. This will cause demoralizations within the team, as well as wasting your time and effort. Life passes and time is money. So, how we design the idea we had? Alright, let's say you come up with a very good idea. You have discussed the idea with your team and your team is approved the idea. Let's assume this a riddle. And what do you know about a riddle game? We mentioned how important market analysis is. Therefore, it will be beneficial for you to proceed with references here. If you are not making a unique game, check out the successful examples in the market. There was this industry before you, and it will continue to happen after you. Of course, someone else has focused on this issue. Of course, someone has tried to integrate, for example, tap and time mechanics into the riddles. And when we examine the successful example this genre, have you ever found a riddle game based on a tap in time mechanics? I will tell you what I can find from here. The reason why these successful games are not adopted is because of their know-how they had previously. They must have tried. If they had a good result, they would have tried it in their own living games. Of course, they could have tried it and failed it. You can realize this unique idea with golden touches, but please try to analyze the market. Don't forget to get a reference. Keep your feet firmly on the ground. So, I wanna speak about the construction. You have found a very nice team and you will start playing riddle, for example. So, how can you gamify this unique team? Do you know how the mechanics works? Maybe you know the basic lines, but you must detail it for the team, for the documentation. Here we go again the reference part. The deconstructing system is here to help. The concept we call the deconstruction means dividing a game into building blocks. Play along fellas. Play lots of games. Finish successful riddle games over and over again. Finish so that you can see closely what moves have been made in the sector. Take a successful game and start from the beginning. Make a note of each move, the amount of time you have spent. Try to estimate the working percentage of the mechanics. Take notes on the mechanics. For example, if an object can be dragged in a game, this object should never be under the finger of the user. We should also give an offset here so that the user can see which way the object is draggable or dragged. In order to see the fine details of these and such mechanics, you must deconstruct the games. These references can save your life. So, multiple metrics are used to predict that a game can be successful in the sector. These metrics are called key performance indicators. Thanks to these, we can gather information about the progress of the game. I want to talk about the metrics that are important when we making a decision and design. The most important of these for us, important situation is cost per install. No matter how good your game is, you will not earn if you cannot attract users with the ads you give. The most important creation that shows us successful your ads here is CPI. This means that you spend money for a user, the amount. The amount you spend on advertising is divided by the number of users who come to your game thanks to the ads. The lower the value you get on the CPI, the more your earnings will increase. But is metric CPI the only thing that matters in advertising? Of course not. There are multiple metrics on the market page that meet us. We examine these metrics and we can find out how valuable our advertising video. So much so that some games can still survive and gain because they attract only users that are cheap to attract. or other most valuable metric after CPI is, I am still talking about advertising, conversion. Conversion shows how many people went to download the game from the market page after clicking on the ad, no matter how successful your ad video is. If your market page isn't interesting enough, you may still not be able to receive users after the ad. A successful conversion value should be at least 50%. You can enter the game's icon, screenshots, trailer, and the description on the market page. If your game will be on the App Store platform, iOS allows us to create an event card for us. These event cards are so important for us because we don't get the users always on the advertising. We sometimes get the users from the organic ways. In the organic ways, we wish to market can see shows us the people who interested in the riddle games or another genre games. Well, let's just say we have solved the ad. We lured the user cheaply into our game. In this case, another important metric is involved retention. The concept of retention shows us how long the player stays in the game. If our game is free to play, which is a free game to play, you will get your earnings from the ads you show. The more ads you show the player, the more you can earn. In which case you need to keep the player in the game in order to show more ads to the player. The concept we call retention values used as a percentage. Days 1, 7, 15, 30 are considered here. The day you download the game will be counted as a day 0. The day after the game is downloaded will be the first day for us. Here, it's examined what percentage of the users who download the game and re-enter the game. The next day, the height of this percentage is very valuable to us. In long-term games, the 13th day, and in short-term games, first and the 7th days are taken into consideration more. There is also the churn rate, which is the fearful dream of every designer. At some point in your game, it can be so boring that the user started coming out, or it's maybe be hard, or it could be buggy in the development side. As a result, if your churn value is high at a specific point in the game, it's useful to get your hands on that point quickly. It's not clear that the outgoing user will come back. The cleanest system you can use to eliminate churn situation in the level-based games, level-based, level-based games will be connecting the levels to the remote. If the levels can be controlled remotely, you can quickly take an action and scroll down one step to the level order ranking by sending that level to the last level. In this way, we catered will remain on the problematic levels and players will be able to proceed without getting stuck. If you are playing a level-based game, each of these levels will not be in the same fun aspect. Therefore, you need to change the level order regularly. You can score the beautiful levels according to their difficulty and entertainment and track which ones get the best value with different combination. So, what is the situation we call better value? The metric we call ARPU will come into play here. Average revenue per user. This will be the most important metric for us. You need to examine your income both in the long term and the short term. The changes you make in the game will directly affect this metric. Then there is the value we call LTV. This is referred to as lifetime value. In other words, we can interpret it as the max efficiency you can get in a game. It represents the life of your game for one user. In some games, this is calculated from 30 days, while in some games it's calculated from 90 days. You can get the most efficient money a user can bring you from this game after this calculated number of days. These will, of course, be estimated values. You can get the estimated values by inferring from your previous game. With a little math, with a little magic, and a lot of luck, you can get the results you want. Among these metrics, there is also playtime. Your prototype needs to be able to be played for at least 720 seconds so that your test can get close to the right results. Then, during the test, you can see how much a user plays the average game and act accordingly. This is very important metric for us because in our game we earn money through advertising, and naturally the more the players plays, the more ads they will see. You need to connect the player to the game. Never try to catch this with external motivation, because then you are very likely to fail. So, what is the external motivation? External motivation is to keep the player in a game with a reward. For example, let's write a story here. Another studio where you work under the same roof as a successful game, and you will reward the player who plays your game at the 100 levels in this successful game. The deals have been made and the other studio is open this idea. This is the external motivation. That player who come to your game to get a prize from the other game and he conditioned himself to it. If the product inside is not better than the other, it will be very difficult for you to convince the player to stay in your game. Instinct motivation increases the chance that the player will stay in your game because the player will choose you because he or she has a pleasant time, not for a reward. Thanks to these and similar tactical movements, you can increase your playtime. So let's enter the riddle world. To make a successful riddle game, you first need to understand your target audience. There are certainly buyers of all kinds in the world. While there are lovers of very difficult games, there are also lovers of casual games. Some are loved by many, while others are loved by fewer. Therefore, the theme you will use takes up a great deal of space here. Riddle will come wherever you pull him. The vast sea is a spacious. There are three situations emerging here. One is the theme. One is the theme you use. The second is the mechanics or mechanic, just one you use. And the third one is the difficulty. Set yourself a target audience. Look at the games played by the target audience and deconstruct. With the riddle that the audience between the age of 25 to 35 plays and wants to play. Of course, the riddle that 18 years old to 25 years old players or want to play will be not the same. Don't aim too high. Just because you love it doesn't mean the rest of world will don't get just because you love it doesn't mean the rest of the world will. Don't get emotionally involved with your game. You should do your job with love. But the game world is changing very quickly, and the life of the games you are playing can run out quickly. Be ready. If you stay in the same place in this changing world and not apply your game to new trends, you may be in a bad situation. So, you found the theme, and now that you have determined your target audience, which mechanics will you use in your game? There is a lot of possibilities here. Each game of top series published by Say Games runs on a single mechanic, for example, or you could use multiple mechanics like Brain Doom, which published by Matchingham. These are different examples. These vary entirely according to your and the market's wishes. The hardest part of riddle games will be telling your story without using writing. With the characters and the looped idle animations you give on the screen as if playing the charades from 40s. Your story should be clear so that the user does not get confused and enjoy the work he or she does. Yes, I know there is songs in this game, but I think the number of people playing games by opening SFX today is maybe 10 or 12 people. So let's enter the best part, the live games. You have found a beautiful creation for creative for your game, and let's assume that you have captured good retention values and ARPU with 10,000 people in your test. Now, the game is about to be born. This means that the system you are writing is functioning and your profitability can be endured by growing even more. I'm sorry. Then you need to calculate enough levels. For riddle games, you should set how many episodes you need to launch soft launch. After you go on soft launch, the values are checked again and good results are assigned to complete your game. Okay, let's assume we are past all that. Suppose you pass every test and your game is live. Your investor or publisher spends thousands of dollars on the game's advertising campaign and you win a little profit. So, is this game gonna stay the same as it first came out? Of course not. So should you add the first innovation that comes to your mind directly to the game? No. The answers will be no again. In this case, A-B test is applied immediately. The A-B test divides the game into different variations. It also sends this variation to an equal number of users in the market. For example, you want to place a level order in your game, but the old level order also brings you a profit on not a bad level. You have created three different variants and you want to try the effect. One of them is the default, and the other two are new. Calculation of the idle time for the test varies according to the game, but we can limit this to 3 days for a simple riddle games. One of the new ones brings better ARPU values, while the other brings less ARPU values. Then the test is closed and the level sequence previously connected to remote is changed and you increase your earnings. That's the nice side of the A-B test. You might want to keep the bad ones in your archive. You never know what you might need in the future. Because, as always I said, the world is changing. Maybe the yesterday you need this variant, maybe the other variants. You don't know. There are also some situations that can cause your head to burn. For example, the variant which brings good value during the test may not have provided as much continuity as the old default in the future. In this case, it's up to your profit to return to the past. The most enjoyable part of designing is not doing what you do again. When you walk into the office every morning, you have to think about what kind of actions, what kind of adventures are waiting for me today. So, advertising equal to money for us. Let's talk about money. Riddle games are free to play as long as there are no exceptions. So, ads are very valuable to us. So does every ad make us the same amount of money? Of course not. There are three different types of advertisement. These are rewarded ad, interstitial ad, and the banner ad. Rewarded ad is most valuable to us and earns nearly 3 times as much as interstitial ad. This type of advertisement is the advertisement that locks the player for the 30 seconds in return for a prize in the game. Interstitial ad is a type of advertisement that progresses by adhering to the cap and delay periods you specify in the game. Narrows the player but can be closed by the player within 5 seconds. Banner ad is the type of ad that stands as a bar at the bottom of the game and never disappears. That's what makes the least money out of them. These commercials are good for us. They make money, but what does it mean for the players? Players don't want to see advertising. An aggressive interruption of the game experience can discourage the players' enthusiasm for the game. Therefore, we need to maintain a good balance. We have two keys to maintain that balance. Cap and delay. Delay sets how many seconds after the game is turned on the first ad will come, while cap is fixed time between two ads. The frequency of advertising is proportional to the increase in money and the decrease in playtime. That's why A/B tests are still coming to our A tier. We need to calculate each possibility one by one and to choose the most profitable in the A/B tests. You can give longer time for an A/B test, such an important issue. Making money is important issue. Making money is a tricky business and deserves to be taken care of well. Well, our game is very good and the players don't want to go out, but they don't want to see any ads. This is where in-app purchases come in. It is the best-selling package in no ads riddle games. This is followed by the hints. No ads are calculated by proceeding from the mentality of how much money would I earn if a player played the whole game and the ads came in front of him or her in the current system. While pricing, this must be our this must be our idea. In addition, the money earned by every advertisement is not the same. The first ad shown by the advertising company to someone who has played your game for too long will be much higher than the last ad. After doing such fine math, an average price is revealed and rolled into a state that does not affect the player's eyes. Let's say it's $3.99 on average, and this $3.99 $3.99 will remain the same for each country? Of course not. When your game is in the localities, which starts after the soft launch, you need to balance it with the revenues of the main countries that play your game. Pricing a game with a very high exchange rate difference on the basis of dollars or pounds will be a very high price that other countries can get. To avoid this, try to calculate the revenue of an ad for you in that country and determine the price with the calculation you made again. In this way, you can still sell no ads at a considerable level due to the version. Hints are the best selling in-app purchases after no ads. If the player does not want to give money, he or she connects to hint rewarded ad and earns 3 times more money than a normal interstitial ad. If the player wants to pass the section but does not want to watch the advertisement, hint is sold to him in packages. And the win-win situation arises for us because the earnings of these hints will be higher than the rewarded ad. Riddle games must retain their diversity. In the parts where the players start to get bored, this is churns emerge. Innovation should be immediately put in front of players. So, thank you for listening to me. I am Mehmet Güldalı and stay with the game.